Stevenson, please.
Good morning, Commissioners. Kim Stevenson for the record. We are requesting 2 seasonal maintenance folks, employees for the airport for the balance of the fiscal year. Our job description was put together and reviewed by HR, and I have the projections here, budget projections, as it is not currently in our budget. So our airport operations specialists and duty managers have a full plate of airport responsibilities, including inspections, training, special projects that the maintenance for mowing and weed spraying, trimming. We also do bare ground spraying. The grasshoppers aren't even out yet. And we have a lot of land, lots of fence line. All of that needs to be kept at a minimum height. The grass needs to be mowed down. It's part of an advisory circular, for the FAA. It's a requirement that we keep the grass low. Also, it's for has wildlife hazard mitigation. And so it's one of those things that unfortunately we don't always get to as quickly as we need to. We discussed this last year, and we didn't actually come and request seasonal workers, but we find the need that we have the need this year to have those 2 employees, and that will free up our operations specialists to stay on the airfield, do the requirements there. These folks would not have the specialized training. They would not be first responders like our current operations specialists are. So that's what we're requesting in terms of folks. The Phil Cummings is still with us. He has not set a retirement date as of yet, and so we have we may have some salary savings if he chooses to retire before the end of the fiscal year. And so, like I said, the budget projection, $26,654 for 2 people for 15 weeks is not currently in our budget. However, I do feel that coming up on our busy season that we will be able to cover that with our fund balance or possibly even our revenues. I did a little research, and the airport typically brings in somewhere around 40%, give or take 5 on both sides, of its revenue for the fiscal year in the last quarter, because we are typically the biggest, that's our biggest operation season. So we would request that you would allow us to advertise and hire for these positions.
Okay. If you are unable to hire those, can a contractor be secured to do that work?
That's not something that we've looked into at this point in time, but it would probably be something that we would look at. I don't know other ramifications of that at this point.
Okay. Thank you. Questions?
It sounds like that's 2 full-time people to do this work, correct?
Correct. Yes.
So, okay.
Yes.
Well, you clearly have to do it. So I don't have a problem with it.
All right. Motion.
I move that we approve the seasonal hires at the airport.
Second.
Commissioner Matari?
Aye.
Chair Duncan?
Aye. All right. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, item 2, remote work out of state, our community development department. Are you going to handle that for them?
If you like.
You got to turn your mic on. Sorry.
If you would like, I can handle the requests.
Yeah, and I don't know, Darren probably has
Yeah.
input as well, so.
Okay. Community development, this is Sylvia Proud for the record, came to HR and asked about a potential temporary arrangement for an employee, a planner to work out of state for 6 weeks in Arizona. So HR did research, and we've worked with legal as well. We researched Arizona law, which is so much easier than California and Washington. And remote work is a pretty easy thing to do there. We spoke with the Arizona Department of Revenue, and as long as an individual is working less than 60 days, it's okay for us to send someone to work remotely for a short duration. We also checked with the Industrial Commission of Arizona, and they have a 90-day period without you having to buy workers' comp insurance policy. We did check locally with Idaho State Insurance Fund and the Idaho Industrial Commission, and both of them referred us to Arizona law as well, and we're okay to send them there. They'd be covered under state insurance fund if there was an injury while they were working remotely. So in partnership with HR, legal, and auditor's office, we found that it was a doable situation if the board would approve that for that 6-week period.
Okay, questions?
Just out of curiosity, how long would they have to come back before they could go back down there in Arizona?
Well, it said, I don't know if it's 60 continuous days. I do have it here. Let's see.
Or 60 in a calendar year?
Well, it's not specific. I think we'd have to ask that. So
Okay.
if that situation came up again with that same individual, we would pursue it even further. But what they say, Department of Revenue is indicating if an employee working in Arizona is not an Arizona resident, withholding of Arizona state income tax wouldn't have to occur till after 60 days. And so I'm not sure if it's 60 days in the calendar year or 60 days at a time.
Okay.
We would have to check that further.
Well, I think it's important that we try to accommodate folks on these types of family situations.
Okay, motion.
I move that we approve the remote work out of state with community development.
Second.
Commissioner Matari,
Aye.
Chair Duncan.
Aye. All right, item 3, step increase request. And this is an increase due to certification. And again, our community development department. I don't mind handling this one, but if you wanted
Or I
somebody
can
from
do
there.
it if you
Yeah,
want.
No, it's pretty straightforward.
yeah, it is. So they qualified for the certification.
Yes, they
and-
qualified, and it's in the, what it says in the job description, must possess or have the ability within 6 months of hire to obtain the ICC permit technician certification.
Yep, and then they had somebody who was paid more leave, and so they'll have salary savings to cover this and hire somebody at the lower wage to replace the one who left.
So I move that we approve the step increase request due to certification with community development.
Second.
Commissioner Matari,
Aye.
Chair Duncan.
Aye. All right, item 4, exception to policy sick leave payout, public defender's office. Ms. Taylor, and we have updated numbers.
Good
And
morning.
I just have a question. The updated numbers that we got this morning, what was that? How did the change happen?
Oh, I was using the lower rate, instead of the, on the, vacation one.
Oh, instead of the hourly. Gotcha. Okay,
Yeah, so it went down a little bit.
okay. Ann?
Good morning. I brought this topic up before and let you guys know I wanted to come back and put this to the board for a vote. I'm requesting an exception to policy as far as the sick leave payout goes. As everybody knows, the Public Defender's Department will be absorbed by the state beginning October 1st. We have a lot of employees who have worked for quite some time and some for just a couple of years. The plan going forward with the state is that employees can transfer 40 hours of sick time to a sick bank to be used once they're a state employee. My request is that we make an exception to policy and people that make it to October 1st to the merge, that the county pay out 40 hours of sick time if they have 40 additional hours available. Additionally, I'm asking that we reduce the number of years of service to have money placed in a VIVA account from 5 years to 2 years. The calculations that you have in front of you would show for the 40 hours of sick payout for all the employees that are listed would be $55,000. There are 5 people that I know of right now that will not be going to the merge. That would reduce that by about $11,000. I don't know how much that would impact. I don't think that would impact any of the VIVA account payout with those particular 5. I can also let you know that last Friday was another person's last day, but that person had not been with us 2 years. That's what I know is happening right now as far as people leaving and moving. This, if the vote is to allow this accommodation for people, this is really a vote recognizing people that have dedicated a lot of time and have been good and productive employees of this county. It's recognizing people who have not asked for this to happen. And it's, I think, a show of good faith and thanks to people, and it will encourage people to stay and to continue doing what they're doing. There is money in the budget. The county budget that's been allotted for the public defender's office, there's about $2 million left in that budget. There are 2 pools of grant funds that still have money available. We've been using grant funds to pay operating expenses to try to get that paid down. But there is money in every one of those buckets left. We are not over budget. It's not an ask for new money to be allocated to make this exception to policy. I would also remind the commissioners that some of us have been loaned to another county, and for just this fiscal year, for money that's coming into the county to reimburse for wages, it's about $200,000. And I think when you look at this ask, what it lists is $75,000 about. We know that's at least $11,000 less right now. What has been brought in from work for Latah County more than covers this. Additionally, with the 3 pots of money allotted to the public defenders, we're not over budget. This is not a new money ask. This is a human ask and a good faith ask. So my hope is that you will approve this for the public defender's office employees.
Okay. Go ahead.
I don't have any numbers that say that we're $2 million.
So if you look at the last page that they just provided this morning.
I don't know what Juliana provided. I didn't have enough time to look, but I had Jen run ours.
Okay.
This is the ops budget.
I highlighted it on the back. That would be before we took out money this.
Okay, so they did burn rate and stuff like that. So if you flip the page that they just gave us,
And what is this, as of 6/3?
yeah, so
That's
that
what's
doesn't
there.
include the burn rate going forward, right, Ann? The one that you provided?
Mine does not. That's just a total amount that was available. That wasn't
Yes.
on any of the calculations that I'd seen, and I wanted that included as
Yeah.
well.
Okay, so the last page, it talks about the ops budget projections. And so that gives you the burn rate through September 30th. And so it anticipates remaining amount $284,000. Does that include the $200,000 that we are receiving in payments from Latah?
I would doubt it. I don't think that ends up being added into that, but that would be an auditor's office question.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm looking past you to the auditor's office. Okay,
No, I went on, I went by budget, and that isn't budgeted. So when you look at the projection I did, I took what their total budget was,
yep,
and then took into consideration fund balance that was pulled for this year.
Right.
That was needed to complete their budget.
Right.
And then their expenses, they do have, as of right now, they do have $2 million left, but so what Ann said is true in that aspect, but it doesn't take into consideration,
the burn rate.
yeah. So I just did an average by pay period and multiplied it out, and again, it's very rough, because if they get a lot of invoices,
Sure.
then it's gonna go up, or if they don't get a lot, then it's gonna go down, so. But I didn't take into consideration the revenue from LATA for a budget.
Okay.
Now, just out of curiosity, do we normally use fund balance for operations budgets?
Only in this particular situation because they're going away. The amount of money, state tax, sales tax revenue that the state gave us didn't quite cover what our projection was, a lot due to the rent and, because they're not covering rent. And so therefore, in '24, we said that 348,000 was
But-
going to come out of fund balance to make public defender whole until they left in October.
And this is only an exception. We never use fund balance for B budget.
Correct.
It's only because this is the final year that public defender is with the county, then it moves to the state. So it was a way of basically evening out the budget.
Yes, except for FY '25, we haven't decided that yet. If we're going to continue to, if we're going to levy for the rent or if we're going to fund balance for the rent. Because it's a pretty set number, so we can know that it's not going to, there's an end date. There's an
So,
end date.
because what I'm seeing here is we put roughly 350,000 from fund balance to cover the delta, if you will, the difference of what was needed, and we'll have 285 back according to these numbers.
Right, plus the $200,000 that we've already been paid by LATA, and there'll be more LATA coming through September.
Well, I don't see that on here.
I know, they didn't include it.
No, I didn't include LATA's money on there because it's a budget. I mean, but I guess I should have looked at that.
Yeah, so right now we have 153,350 in one refund account, and then cost of defense 54,134. So like Ann said, about $200,000 from LATA payments. Well, LATA and Nez Perce, I think. Nez Perce.
These are just LATA.
Oh, they are
anymore,
just LATA?
And we'll
Okay.
have another billing before the year's over. The A budget that's listed from this morning that will change. We had somebody leave last week, and there are 5 people leaving by the start of August too, so that will change too.
Yeah, so there'll be a lot more.
We also have the workload grant that the county's allowed to use now too, that hasn't been allowed to be used before.
Yeah, and that's all included in Julina's calculations. Yeah, so, yeah. So at this point, if we were to approve, and essentially you're thinking it's 11,000 less than the 75,000?
Yeah.
So 64,000, if we have 484 left, it will still give us enough return that we wouldn't have used any fund balance at the end, as long as the projections stay true. So,
Well, I'd like to see those numbers. I mean, look, I applaud you for, going to bat for your staff. I mean, they're not asking you, you're doing this on your own. Is that correct?
I'm doing it because I think it's really unfair what's happening to them, and it's not you guys' fault.
It's just with the transition to the state. So, as you probably are aware that, with the asks for FY '25 and what we have, we just have to be kind of careful, and every little bit adds up. I'm not averse to it, but I really would like to have a more complete picture. So if you know that you have 5 staff members that are leaving, I'd like to see that because, reflected in the numbers and the revenue from the A budget, so we can really see that.
Would you like me to ask for an executive so I can tell you who they are now? Or how do
I
you?
don't think I need to know the people.
I think we can actually put it on for Tuesday's business meeting, and you work with the auditor's office to let them know who's leaving, and we can get a little different projection, including the 200,000 in revenues.
I won't be here Tuesday. I'm going to be at a training that I'm paying for myself. But I can have the notice of separations prepared and sent over so those numbers could be calculated for the 5 people that are leaving.
Okay,
Those were going to be done next week, but I'll have them done tomorrow.
okay.
And does all of this take into account the payouts that we'll have for sick and vacation?
Yes,
Going to the employees.
it's on your sheet. Yep.
Yeah, the calculation shows you the sick payout that goes to the county that will just happen. And then you can see the column that's the other sick payout, and then the calculation for the Viva account.
Yeah.
you can see what is required for the VIBA account by policy, and then the additions are about 19,000.
Is it on here?
Yeah, so this whole burn rate includes the payouts. And
Okay.
so we have that much remaining plus 200,000 that we've already gotten paid from LATOS. So we have 484. So 484 minus 384 leaves us $100,000 minus 64,000 would leave us 30-something
I
thousand in the.
I understand.
In the
I'd just
black.
like to see these numbers kind of put together so
Yep.
we know exactly what we're talking
Sure.
about.
We'll get the notice of separation out so that the updated numbers can be in. I think probably one of the questions that you should ask too, when I looked at the burn rates, I know that there's been some change between paying expenses like rent and other things out of grant money to use that first versus out of the B budget from the county. So I think you should ask that question too when we're projecting burn rates, which things are coming out of which.
Yeah, she did. So the last page, Ann, on Julina's thing.
The new one today?
Yeah, the new one today on the last page takes all that into consideration. And so the only thing we're looking at that's actually property tax or county funded is the 348 fund balance. Because that's the delta between all the grants and the state revenue. On the very back page, sorry. There you
Okay,
go.
I probably am not asking the question right.
Yeah.
When we pay bills, we say we want this to come out of this grant, where maybe we used to say we want it to come out of the ops budget, the B budget.
Right.
And when we're projecting how much we're gonna use out of each category, I just wanna make sure that each thing's only allotted one time. Like, we're not counting rent coming out of two categories. when
No,
it can only
no.
be-
So the way the auditor is looking at it differently since they opened up the grants is more holistically of this is all state, money from the state, this is money from the county. And we're trying to preserve that money from the county. And it looks like the county will get returned, well, have an additional 30,000 without spending the fund balance that was allocated. But yeah, I agree that let's get the numbers more clear minus the 5 separations, so.
Okay, so it will come on the business meeting.
Yes.
Do I need to have somebody from the office, from my office, be here, or
I-
just make sure the
I
notice
don't
of
think so.
separations are through?
Yeah.
Okay, I can do that.
Yeah.
Great,
So,
thank you.
Thank you. A lot of moving parts there. Right, item 5, Captain Deke, you're up. Additional full-time employee request, consideration of a mid-year position for sheriff's office.
Good morning, Commissioners. Captain Andy Deke for the record. For about the last year, we've been utilizing a staff member from a different section within the sheriff's office to facilitate the increased need for backgrounds, I guess, administrative function, to process quicker, more accurate, to free up the time for the background investigators to actually do their work with the applicants that we're processing. So we're asking for a mid-year position, that it's a new position for the sheriff's office to assist with that administrative function, from fingerprinting to law checks, reference checks. They do a lot of work behind the scenes. And by borrowing this position and trying it for the last 8 to 10 months, we've learned a lot about it. We really do need it, but we want to give that position that we borrowed back to the section that needs it, because there's an overtime burden that's encountering in that spot now too. So HR graded it at a pay grade 4. We're asking for, my memo says started pay grade 12, which is incorrect. It would be 14 if the board approves that.
Question,
Yes.
do you have any patrol positions, and I don't know if HR can do it, over 100 days? Do you have
That
patrol?
I don't know.
Okay. Your microphone, sorry.
Not every time. Zach's gonna look and see if we have something open more than 100 days,
Okay,
but, I'm not sure.
okay, and this position right now is included in the FY
It
'25
is, yeah,
ask. So
correct.
it'll be pulled back if we approve it today.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so, all right. Questions?
Well, given what the FY '25 ask is, I really have a problem, slicing and dicing this stuff because it becomes harder to look at the budget from a more holistic perspective, which is really what this board is kind of tasked with doing. Do you have a position that you would be willing to freeze in exchange for getting this position? Something that you've had a really hard time filling that requires either more money or more training or something where you could hire someone for less that would have a lower threshold?
Well, I've
that you
got
could find?
dispatch positions that we're not gonna fill this year. We've maxed out on what we can probably
Train.
train in the next year, so
Yeah.
I could possibly do that, but I'd have to talk to the undersheriff and sheriff about what they wanna freeze or not freeze.
Yeah, because that's where my head is, because there's a lot of ask for additional positions.
Sure.
But on top of that, we have open positions.
Yep.
And one of the things that I would like to try to accomplish is to get the people who are working in the county paid appropriately before we start talking about adding more positions and then saying, well, we can't hire them for them, you know, and you're going to constantly be robbing Peter to take care of Paul in essence.
Yeah. So that was my question about the patrol being open 100 days, but I didn't think about dispatch.
Yeah, dispatch would be the one that we could pull
We
and
could
freeze
look
a
into.
position to free up some funds if that's needed.
Okay. And do you have a person slated for this position?
We do have somebody, yeah, and then we'd have to repost
Backfill.
a different position, yeah. It's the
Okay,
one that's been doing it.
yeah, okay. All right, so did you want to wait 2 weeks so they can tell us if they want to freeze a position? Do you want to handle it on Tuesday when we get that answer, or what, how would you like to, or is it just a no?
I'm happy as soon as we get the information to make a good decision.
Good.
You know, I just am not particularly keen on expanding the number of positions while we have so many open positions.
Sure.
Yep, so,
Good, fair enough.
okay.
Come back Tuesday then, or?
Well, get us the information by noon tomorrow, and we can put it on the business meeting if you have the information,
All right.
if you're able to do that. And if not, then we'll
The
have
following
to-
business or HR.
All right.
Yep, exactly.
Very good.
Okay. Item 5, oh, sorry, that was item 5. Item 6, position conversion, and this is kind of a transfer from one of your departments to another department with a downgrade,
Yes.
is what I understand. So,
Correct.
go ahead, Captain Deke.
Again, this is a position transfer. In early this year, we transferred the concealed weapons permits from the sheriff's office to the driver's licensing offices, which obviously increased their workload in business. We've been loaning a records position since then to those driver's license offices. We have a retirement in records that's coming up, so we'd like to just, rather than refill that position in records and keep doing what we're doing, move the position from records to driver's license. And it does go from a pay grade 4 to a 3, so there's a net savings to the county overall.
Yeah, let me just look at that. Yeah, so the net savings for next year is only 14,000, and I think your last position was 67,000. So even with this conversion, it doesn't get us
Right.
close enough, I think, to where we need to be.
Where we need to be for what? I'm sorry.
For the position they asked for at the
Oh, for the
last-
previous item.
Yeah, for the
We
previous
talked
item.
about that, about using this one to fund that one, but
Yeah, but
driver's
for-
license really does need it. They've been without.
Yeah.
We put a whole lot more work on them.
Sure. And so this is really just, this department handled this service, now this department's handling it, so might as well,
Right.
get the body over there.
Yeah.
So with that, do you have any other questions?
No, this one is, I think, good to go.
Okay. Motion.
I move that we approve the position conversion and transfer over at the sheriff's office and records.
Second.
Commissioner Matari,
Aye.
Chair Duncan.
Aye. Thank you. All right, item 7. This is a new hire request, 97% of market and with a starting vacation accrual. It's under the BOCC. And so Leanna, if you want to.
Yes. We would like to hire a facilities director at a requested greater than 97% of market. In addition, we'd like to offer the candidate 2 weeks of paid vacation to start. So it's an exception to policy, so do you have any questions?
Well, I will just put on the record that we had 69 applicants, went through over 10 interviews in the past year. And so this is our third and final offer. So I think we have a great addition to our team. So just had to bring it back to an open meeting. So any other comments?
You have permission. I'll make the motion. I move that you approve the new hire at greater than 97% of market with the starting vacation accrual in the BOCC's office.
Second.
Commissioner Matari?
Aye.
Chair Duncan?
Aye. Thank you. All right, item 8, so this is an executive session, it's a 1D, so we have a couple options here. We have 2 more things on the agenda that we'll handle after the executive session, but we could also handle item 11 during the 1D, or we can just go 1D, handle the 2 items, then go back into a 1B. Do you have a preference? You want all exec now, or?
Well, I
back
think
and forth?
for the 2 items, 9 and 10, I think that has to be addressed with Commissioner Brooks and yourself.
Sure, and when we are in executive session, we'll call him.
Yeah.
Yep. So,
So what do you want, a motion for a 1D and a 1B?
yes, if you'd like to handle them both together, yes, that would be fine.
I move that we enter into executive session pursuant to Idaho Code 74-2061D and 1B.
Second.
Commissioner Matari?
Aye.
Chair Duncan?
Aye. All right, so we'll get Bill on the phone.
I move that we exit executive session 1B and 1D with staff to proceed as discussed.
All right, second?
Commissioner Matari?
Aye.
Chair Duncan?
Aye. All right, and staff to proceed as discussed on 9 and 10 as well.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
8, 9.
I'm s- yeah,
I thought it said
8.
8 through 11, but maybe not.
I think you just said 1D and 1B, but it's
Oh.
okay. So
Thank you.
essentially, it's staff to proceed as discussed and public comment. Okay, hearing none, 11:29, meeting adjourned. Thank you.